What's up, bitch? I am finally back. Unlike your father who went to the store and just didn't come back, I have come back. And that legally makes me your dad now. And I've come back with something that's much better than the cigarettes and malt liquor that your father left you for. I've came back to tell you about a really cool fucking game that you can play right now on the Steam store for the smallest price of $24.99. And it's got basically everything you could want from a video game. It's the whole package. I used to not like roguelikes until I played Risk of Rain 2, and I'm like, damn, this is pretty fucking good. But I kind of only meant that about like the gameplay and the progression. It didn't really have a story. There wasn't really anything else outside of that. It's got really good lore, but that doesn't really constitute a story. Even though Risk of Rain has really good gameplay and it's really fun, I feel like it's lacking in certain aspects to put it really high up on my like list of favorite games. And then Hades came along, which was in my library, I believe, well before Risk of Rain 2 was. In early access, I still hadn't played it, and I finally did. I sat down and played it, and immediately I'm like, oh shit. The first time I played it, it's one of those things where you sit down, it's like 7 p.m., and you're like, I'm just gonna play for a little bit. Then you look at the clock again, it's already 4 in the morning, it's a school night, you have like work the next morning, whatever, and you're like, well, holy shit, this is awesome, this is just a great game. Hades is the complete package. It's got good story, good characters, incredible voice acting, incredible soundtrack, everything you could want from a roguelike game, and more. In fact, I'd point to a lot of AAA games that do not live up to even half of what Hades offers. It is unprecedentedly good. Supergiant has never made a game this incredible, and that's saying something because all of their other games have slapped. So what the hell is Hades? Yeah, that's called a rim job, and you can add it to the end of anything that you say, and it automatically makes it funny. So I hope you're laughing, because if you're not, I'm gonna fucking find you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm your dad. Hades is an action RPG roguelike, so you try to go and escape from Tartarus, get up through the Greek underworld. You're going to die, and you're going to come back, and you're going to start over. But you do have a constant way of progression. You can upgrade yourself permanently at the Mirror of Night for darkness, which you can get throughout the underworld as room rewards or just sometimes randomly. And you basically do that over and over and over until you beat the final boss, and you get to see the end of the story. But it doesn't end there. The story continues to play out in each successive attempt and failure of getting through the underworld. And Hades is smart enough to respect your time by making each run unique and giving you a lot of room for player expression. You pick a weapon, you try your escape attempt, maybe you die, maybe you don't, but you ultimately come back and you start over again. The combat in Hades is engaging. You have to pay attention, you have to dodge at the right times, move at the right times, kill the right enemies, and make decisions on the fly so that you can stay alive. Combat is relatively simple though. Each weapon has a dash attack, sometimes they will have a charge attack, they will have a normal attack, and a special attack. So 4 moves that your weapon can use, and you can also fire a little projectile called a cast, which will be changed based on what god has given you a boon for it. There are infinite combinations. Combat is satisfying not only because you can do a lot of cool stuff and kill a lot of enemies very fast, but it also requires skill and attention to do so. While each weapon might shine much more in a certain circumstance, each and every weapon is viable and enjoyable to use. You can unlock multiple different types of the same weapon that function differently. These are called aspects. Each of these aspects functions differently enough to distinguish itself from its base counterpart and the other aspects for the same weapon. So when you combine that you can use 28 different weapons essentially with all the different boons and buffs you can get on your escape attempt, you've got essentially an infinite amount of ways to express yourself and play the game, and all sorts of new combinations to learn, find which ones do work, which ones don't work, which ones you do like, which ones you don't like, and that is what makes this game so fun. The game rewards you for being skilled, and it gives you the tools to display that in a flashy manner by doing more damage, going faster, having crazy special abilities that you can learn how to combo into each other, and you become an unstoppable killing machine, or so it feels like. The game doesn't at any point become super easy, no matter what build you have, because you still have to be paying attention, because you will die fast. The game keeps you in a constant tense state. When Supergiant says this is a godlike roguelike, you really do feel like a little god running around doing all sorts of fucking wild shit and beating ass. Is a very hard thing to balance, but Supergiant does it perfectly, where you feel very powerful, but you still feel fragile, so the tension is there. So, the story. I don't want to spoil stuff, but I will tell you enough to hopefully get you at least a little bit interested in how this plays out. Your character is little Hades. His name is Zagreus. He's a small twink who can have sex with a man or a woman. So Zagreus, our boy, is bisexual, and you would know that if you looked at his eyes, because one is green, which means man, and one is red, which means woman, so he'll have sex with both. You know, it's coded right into his color scheme. It's easy to miss for the untrained eye, but this is straight eye for the bi guy, so I can tell very easily. Your goal is to get to the surface and just fuck off because you're tired of living in your father's house because he's a dickhole. So essentially, you can break the story down to its base components, which is, at its center, an overbearing father is irritating the shit out of his son, who is coming of age and wants to make his own way in the world, and we've heard that story 1,000 times, right? The story itself is good enough. If you told me that this was some uncovered piece of Greek mythology that people had just discovered, I would be prone to believe you. It is that good. It feels very real and grounded while also being a story about, magical creatures and shit. So let's talk a little bit more about the gods. Every single line, every single bit of voice acting for the gods is fantastic. It really creates a sense of tension and unease that would come with talking to a being who is so far above you, right? Who is a literal god. It's like if you talk to Zeus, you would not enjoy that conversation. It would be uncomfortable. You would be scared. You could never, ever possibly imagine what kind of machinations are going on behind the scenes for a god to be talking to a lowly person like you, right? So that's a scary situation to be in, but it's the one that Zagreus finds himself in nonetheless. The Greek gods want to get him out of the underworld so that he can come live on Mount Olympus with them. The more the story goes, it becomes more unclear as to why they want this. Do they want something from Zagreus? Do they want to just simply piss off Lord Hades because, his son has left to come live with them? You don't know what their true goals are, but every single interaction with them and how vindictive gods can be and how cruel and indifferent gods can be to the suffering of others when it inconveniences them to be compassionate. And this can be best seen, I think, in rooms where you can get 2 boons, but you have to pick one. And whichever god you don't pick, immediately, regardless of your relationship status with them and how much they like you and how strong of a bond you have, will immediately turn on you and try to kill you right then and right there.
Time to pick sides.
Betrayal, little Hades. Of all my nephews, you should know better than this. Or perhaps I should. One of us at least.
Dead either way, I guess.
And if you manage to survive, they immediately try to walk it back and say stuff like, "Oh man, I was just kidding. It was just a joke. I was just trying to ruffle your branches," or whatever.
Now that was truly finely fought indeed, nephew. And I've a suitable reward here just for you. Don't even know what I was mad about.
But every single one of these interactions is tense and just uncomfortable. And the longer it goes, the more you worry about what do these people really want from our boy, the twink. But I'm going to let you find that out for yourself. This is a really big part of the game, and it's what sells it as a complete package for me. The story is so good. I didn't expect myself to be sucked in. I thought that it was just not going to be possible for a roguelike to have a really good story like this that I really cared about. But every single run I went on not only was I just doing it because the combat and gameplay is so satisfying, I was also doing it because I had to know more about each and every character in the story. I would recommend it to anyone, even just from a purely story perspective. You don't even have to like roguelikes, right? You can turn it on easy mode and play through the story. I still think you would get $25 out of this game. The story's the fucking shit. Please play this game. Please play this game. If you have 144 frames a second, you can pick any one of those and say, yep, this is my wallpaper now. It's that pretty. Every single area is distinct and beautiful. The enemies mesh with their environments, and everything feels like it fits. Everything has so much obvious love, care, attention to detail put into it that it defies my ability to even compliment it properly. Other than how beautiful the art is, I can't really say anything that you can't see for yourself on the screen right now. So I will tell you how the game runs, which is perfectly. I don't think in the entire time I've been playing it, I've dropped any frame. So if you don't know who Darren Korb is, he's the guy who has produced a lot of the music for, if not all of the music. I don't actually know about that. I haven't done my research on it. The music for the last 3 Supergiant games before Hades, and also Hades itself. Ashley Barrett normally does the female vocals. These two are unstoppable. I have never heard a song from any Supergiant game that does not absolutely slap. And they have so much range. Sad and sweet and somber and mournful and angry and aggressive and just, ooh, it'll fire you up. And Hades has the best music, I think, of all of them so far. The production quality is apparent. It's apparent that love and care went into it. Everything is wrapped up in this nice little package that is Hades. And of course, music is only a small part of, sound design. There's also the combat sound effects and the voice acting. Every effect basically has its own distinct sound. It's like watching Robotech when every single missile explodes and has its own sound effect. When it's fast and frenetic, it sounds fast and frenetic. I'm not sure in this kind of situation. And when you're taking a relaxing moment, maybe sitting in the lounge of the House of Hades, listening to Orpheus's sweet tunes, it sounds relaxing and it feels relaxing. And of course, the last thing I want to talk about, but the thing that helps tie everything together, is the voice acting. There are hours of voice lines. There are so many voice lines. Every single line that a person or character will say to you is voiced. And they added thousands more with the 1.0 update. Everyone sounds distinct, but everyone also sounds like they match the character they're portraying. Dionysus sounds like a frat boy. Aphrodite sounds like she wants to fuck you. I mean, look at that. Who wouldn't? Tell me you wouldn't. Lie and tell me you wouldn't. So, something I did want to mention, but I forgot to, is the ludonarrative consonants, where gameplay marries very nicely with story. It's not like every time you die, you just respawn inexplicably and pretend like nothing happens. Everyone acknowledges it. If you get your ass beat, Hypnos is going to make fun of you for it. Lord Hades is going to make fun of you for it. Achilles is going to try to encourage you to do better, and Meg is going to just tell you to go fuck yourself. Every death means something, every death advances the plot, and every death feels like it is canonical to the story. The characters react to how you behave, what you've done. Will mention when you're coming and going. They'll mention what killed you. They'll give you advice on how to try to avoid dying next time. The interactions between the characters are pretty much unlimited. It's amazing how married the story and the gameplay and the voice acting is to making a coherent experience where it doesn't feel like this is just a game. It feels like you're controlling somebody who's in a living, breathing world that has existed before them and will exist after you stop playing the game and after the game ends. I legitimately think if you have any sort of interest in good, cool, and fun stories, you should play this game. If you have any interest in roguelikes, you should play this game. If you have any interest in big, luscious, bodacious gameplay, you should also play this game. You won't regret it. I'm serious. Like, this is legitimately one of the best and most polished games I have ever played, and quite certainly one of my favorites. And I've been playing video games for, I don't know, as long as your whore mother has been around, so that's about 30,000 years, yeah. So, I'm not really sure how to end this, so I guess I'm just gonna, like, slowly stop talking.